Welcome everybody, I'm Soni Grint with HUSQVARNA Viking Sewing Machines, and I'm excited to be back at Classic Sewing to continue with our Christmas sew-alongs. We're going to do two projects today, but they're both in the hoop embroidery project, so they'll be so much fun and easy to work with. The first thing we're going to work with is this really cute gift card holder. So the gift card just slides right in, and you're going to get two of these, one with the holly as a decoration, and then another one that's plain so you can decorate it yourself. So you'll get two files, two embroidery files right there. And then the next thing that we're going to work with is this cute little gift tag. And this little gift tag I think is just adorable. If you can't read it, it says ho, ho, ho on the front, but you can do anything like that that you want. We have some great little lettering, really super small lettering that works fabulous in things like gift tags. So we're going to work on this today with you, and you're going to see how these designs are created, and then also how it's stitched out, because they are a little bit different because, again, they are in the hoop. So let's go ahead and go over to our screen where we can see how the design is created. So what we're going to do is we are going to go in, and I put the three designs actually that we got from Classic Sewing right on a USB stick. The first one, as I mentioned, I'm just going to bring it in real quick here with a quick tap. This is our gift card holder that does not have any holly on it. So again, you can decorate that if you choose, or you could even use, guess, another type of fabric or a fun print fabric if you wanted to for the pocket. So that is one design file that you're going to receive. And then the other one is the design file. And let's go ahead and make sure I bring that in with the holly on it, which I thought was very sweet. So we're going to go ahead and use this one today so you can see how that's going to work. Once you have that in, it is set up for the 120 by 120 hoop. It says right there. So that's the size hoop that we want to use. And really that's it. Because the design is already set up, all we need to do is go to stitch out mode. So with our design on the screen, I want to go ahead and I'm going to hoop some water-soluble, but the fibrous water-soluble stabilizer. It's really important that it has a little bit more substance to it. So that's why I really like the fibrous water-soluble stabilizers. So I'm just going to go ahead and hoop. Make that really simple. And again, once I flip the little lever there, I do want to take a moment and tighten down that screw to make sure my stabilizer is set. With an in the hoop project like this, and if you think about it, with this little holder that we have, you're going to see the holder from both the top and the bottom. So what I want to make sure you do is you really want to wind the same thread. So I have the rayon green thread. I'm using green thread today. Rayon green thread in the bobbin. So that's important that you have that in the bobbin as well as on the top, again, because you're going to see from both sides. So that's just a little tip. If you were to use regular bobbin thread and it was white, you'd see it on both sides. So it's a little bit nicer to have the rayon thread in top and bobbin. And one other little tip for you when you are sewing with the rayon threads and you have the rayon thread in the bobbin, I always wind my bobbin a little bit slower. So I don't always like speed through winding a bobbin when I'm using rayon thread because it has a little bit of give. So you don't want to stretch it. So just slow down your speed just a little when you wind that bobbin. All right, so I've got my hoop ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move my board aside. And with the hoop, I've changed over to the sensor Q foot, so my embroidery foot is on. And I'm just going to slide my hoop over right here, so that makes it easy for me. And remember, when we went ahead and went from the screen, I went ahead and said, go ahead and we're going to go to stitch out mode. So that's what I just did. I just pressed stitch out mode. And now I'm just going to click apply. And my embroidery arm's going to move over. So that's super easy. My Epic 3 tells me to go ahead and put on my hoop. So that one snap, oh, I love that hoop connection. That's so very cool. Once I have that done, here's how the embroidery is going to work. So that's why I wanted to take you through these steps. It's going to do a placement line. Once you get your placement line done, then we're going to actually take a piece of felt and put that down on where the placement line is. It's going to stitch it down. It's going to do some satin stitching. It's going to then do the embroidery, and then we're going to put the back on, and that's going to be the really cool step. So let's go ahead. I'm going to just go ahead and press start, stop, and let's get our placement line going. So again, the placement line is truly going to be, and I paused there for a moment because I just wanted you to see that little placement line there, that's actually the front. So that's this front flap. Okay, so that is the color. I'm using felt today. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull and put that felt right on where that placement line was. So I've got that there. If you are a little bit nervous about it maybe moving, you can use a little spray adhesive. I just don't often use spray adhesive. It's just my preference, but certainly you can. You can slow down your machine a little bit for the next step, or for our HUSQVARNA Viking Epic 3, but HUSQVARNA Viking owners, you can also use your foot control. So lots of great ways to make sure that your stitching is going to remain or your fabric is going to remain in place. So now we're just going to see how I'm just kind of making sure everything's okay. Just let that be. All right. And so now that has stitched down that front flap, and it's getting ready to do the next pieces, but I have to do one thing first. And that is I need to trim around. So that extra felt that is down here, I need to trim that felt. So I'm going to use what is called the trim position. And it's going to move my hoop, my embroidery hoop, a little bit closer toward the front. And then I'm just going to go ahead and trim as close as I possibly can without clipping my threads. And this is one I almost can't talk and do at the same time because I want to make sure I'm getting nice and close, but not too close. It's one of those things. So close, but not too close. And this is another place. I know many of you have great tools out there that you use for different things. This is where a scissor, you'll see I've got this pair of scissors here that it's a blunt nose, so it's going to actually not worry about catching my fabric or my stabilizer, but also because it's bent. And I know you can't see that because of my camera, but what I can do is when I get done, you can see how that is right there. So that bent allows me to get over into the work area, which I think is really important. So that's why these scissors are so great like that. All right, so now back to current stitch position and press start, stop again. This really is going to make sure that everything, again, it's going to be a little zigzag stitch. And with that zigzag stitch, it's going kind of over where the stitching previously was. And then it's going to also go back over and finish off the edges. So once you finish the first row of satin stitching, it actually is a looser zigzag to make sure that now you can go back, trim more felt if you need to. Once you're done with that, we're just going to press the start stop button again. And then it's going to finish, and it's going to do a much closer together satin stitch. So a much prettier satin stitch over the edge. So don't worry if that first one was like, oh, it didn't quite do what it needed to, because it was just letting you go ahead and make sure everything was okay. And now it's finishing up the satin stitch on the edge. And again, what's happening as we're doing this is just kind of the top right here. So it's just the top of the satins, of the little pocket is what we're finishing out right now. So that's just the top of the pocket right here. So it's going to do that as we are just finishing up. Once that top is done, then it's going to go on to our next color. And that next color happens to still be green. I like using, I tend to use similar colors or the same colors. This color is actually for the holly. So we're going to just press start, stop again. This is the fun part, is you can go get a cup of coffee and go ahead and relax for a minute, because now we're going to do the little holly leaves in green. So it's just going to stitch a little underlay. So Classic Sewing did a great job with these designs. They're really nice, well done, and it's a fun way to decorate that little gift card holder. So again, it's just going to go ahead and let it stitch. You can change, you know, with that extra gift card that didn't have any designs on it, you could decorate those. I think it'd be fun to use like an extra little bit of decorative fabric, right? So have the pocket be just maybe some regular fabric that is really bright and brilliant, or maybe has poinsettias on it or candy canes, all sorts of things. If you do that, if you use regular fabric, you may want to, it's a little bit lighter weight than the felt, so you may want to put a piece of like webbing in between and put 2 layers together to give it a little bit more substance when you are using that for that front pocket. So there we are. We're done with our holly leaves. So that was fast and easy. So there are our leaves right there. The next thing we're going to do is, it actually is calling for red in my coloring. So, or in my colors, it's calling for red. But honestly, I didn't want to switch out to a red because my felt is red. So what I am going to do is I'm going to make white berries that'll look a little bit like mistletoe instead of hollies. So I'm just going to thread my Epic 3 and just do that really quick and easy. And one of the things I love about this machine, and some of you may have machines that do this, but gosh, as my eyes get older, I love that one step, just one little button press, and I threaded my needle. Don't you just love that? It's so fabulous. And then the last thing I do, remember we talked about this for the green, right? Is I'm just going to slide off. So how easy that is to take that off. I'm just going to slide off my hoop for a moment. And I'm using the same thread in the bobbin as I am in the top. So because of that, it'll make it nice on the back and on the front. So make sure that HUSQVARNA Viking symbol is up. And slip this in. All right. So again, if you are making this and you're doing it front and back, so you're going to see both the front and the back, make sure you have the same thread in the top as you do in the bobbin. So just a little tip for that. All right, we're ready to go. We're going to make a couple little berries right now. So these are going to be in white this time. And you can see how quick and easy it's going to do that. So there's our first berry. And here's our second berry. Cute little candle wicks right there. And then our third. So again, that nice little decoration that's already there for you, and super easy. And the felt really lets you show off those great stitches. All right. So at this point, this is where we want to make sure that you are following along kind of in your, in the instructions as you are going ahead and going to the next step. Because the next step is to put on that back area. So what's going to be basically the back part of, we've just done the front, now we're going to do the back, right? So what we need to do is we're going to go back to green. So I am going to rethread. I always love things like this because whenever I'm teaching, because I always think, okay, well, this is going to help my students learn. So you're getting to learn how to rethread and thread your machine really fast and easy. So I'm going to put that green back in the bobbin. And I'm going to put the green thread back on top. And that quick, easy threading. And of course, that needle threader that we all have grown to love. And for that rayon thread, everyone, I just want to make sure that I don't have to worry about my bobbin thread. Usually the bobbin thread comes up right away, but if you ever struggle with rayon thread, it might be a good something to try is if you do bring up your bobbin thread, if it's in that rayon, if you're using rayon thread in the bobbin. So normally I don't have to, but in this case, I felt like it would be important to do that. So now here's my next piece. So I've got this next piece that is going to be on the back. I'm just going to slide this underneath. And I think I may. Here we go. All right. So I'm going to slide that underneath and I'm going to use my foot control this time. Again, instead of having to use spray adhesive, I'm just going to use my foot control. And it's going to go ahead and take a couple stitches. All right. And that actually, I sewed my fabric together. I sewed that underneath. If by chance you needed a placement line, that really would have been your placement line. So let's do this again. And it's really going to secure that back piece. So secure that back piece. Again, I'm using my foot control, so I have complete control over my stitching. So I can slow way down if I'm nervous, or speed way up. All right. So everyone, at this point, I'm going to take my hoop off and I want to share with you something that I think is pretty cool. All right. So now that I have my little piece right here, I have my top or my pocket. So there's my pocket. And then I've got my back, and there are a couple extraneous threads. You can trim that out at this time. Because I'm using felt, okay, because I'm using felt, everyone, I really don't have to worry too much about trimming close to the back at this point. However, if you're using fabric, this is where we've got this stop. And so we want to trim super close to this back. And by taking the hoop off, well, because this was on the back of the hoop, you almost had to. There was no way around taking the hoop off for this. But there are times that you may need to take off the hoop, and that's okay, because that's just going to let you get a little bit closer than using maybe a trim position, which we used before. So now, get that all out of the way. Okay. So now I've got that trimmed. My front is all trimmed. So now it's our last step is to do the satin stitching around the edge. So all I'm going to do is snap that back on and let's press start stop again. Here's that great little zigzag to make sure it's going to stay in place. And again, you can see it's getting up pretty close. If need be, you could go back and trim trim some more. The felt is, again, very forgiving, so that's why I love to use the felt. And now you can see it actually started again with a little bit closer satin stitch. You can see that right there. So that's going to completely finish the edge. So again, with felt, don't have to worry so much about trimming close. If you're using regular fabrics, then you might want to take the time and go back in and trim just up as close as you possibly can without hitting the stitches. So that is something that I love. I've been embroidering for a while. I still love to watch embroidery. I think it's so fun to see what someone created and how it comes to fruition right there in your hoop. So I think that's really fun. And you can see how this is working is we've got our pocket, we've got our back, and then the final step is going to be we're going to create a little eyelet. And that little eyelet is going to be where we actually go ahead and we put the ribbon through if you choose. You don't actually have to do an eyelet if you don't want to. That's completely up to you. The eyelet is the last thing that is embroidered. So because it's the last thing, you can just leave that out if you choose. All right, so now that we've finished that outside edge, we're going to come back in and do the eyelet. The eyelet is going to be made in 2 steps. You're going to have one step that's just going to be a straight stitch. So that's going to allow us, and it'll be really quick. So let's just go ahead and press that. It's just going to be a little straight stitch. So it's going to basically show you where the eyelet is going to be. And at this point, if you really wanted to, you could come in and cut out that little bit of fabric, or you could use an eyelet cutter. It's completely up to you. But now we're going to do the satin stitch. So the little eyelet, again, if you want to have the eyelet, you can have it. You can hang this little thing, your gift card holder up on a tree if you wanted to, but that's what, again, the little eyelet is for, is so you can have that little option of doing that. And there you go. You're done. That's what's really neat about this. In the hoop projects, you're done. Let's go ahead and we're going to just remove the hoop. And when I remove the hoop, you see right here, there's my gift card holder. Really super fast and easy. I'm just going to take this, because this is a water-soluble stabilizer, so I'm just going to go ahead and take that out. What I can now do, and just going to put my machine in park position to get this embroidery arm out of the way. And let's go ahead and bring up the board so you can see this a little bit better here. The water-soluble stabilizer, so that will go away when you wash it, but truly, I like to take as much off as I can. So I'll get really close in there, and the felt allows me to, if I needed to trim up even a little bit more, I could, but I'm just going to get most of that away. And just trim up close. Doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to wash that away. But at that point, I have to admit to you all, I had a little panic attack when we were doing this. And the reason why, I'm like, uh-oh, I'm sitting here trying to open my pocket. It's like, uh-oh, my pocket's not opening. Well, guess what? That pocket right there, that's in the stabilizer. So when the stabilizer washes away, it releases the pocket. And I'm like, oh, of course, that's the way it should be. So now I've got my little gift card right there. I can put my ribbon on if I choose. And goodness gracious, wasn't that a fast and easy in the hoop project, right? So that was really fun. That was really fun for me. But we have one more in the hoop project for you. And this one, I have to admit, I think this is one of my favorites, honestly. Sometimes it's not the big, bulky, or I shouldn't say bulky, but the big gifts. Sometimes it's the little bitty gifts. And for me, it's the little bitty gift. I love this little gift tag. It's the little, says ho, ho, ho with a little star and a little bow. We're going to make this next. So let's go ahead and go over to our screen and I'll show you how to put the lettering in the gift tag. So now let's go ahead and get out of Embroidery Stitch Out so we can get back into our designs. And let's simply delete our gift card holder. And now I'm going to go ahead and find on my USB stick that other wonderful little In the Hoop project, which is our gift tag this time. And I just want to share with you really quick. I'm just going to make another one of these. You can put as many of these in a hoop as you want. So however you can get those squeezed in, it's that easy. And you can make all sorts of gift tags all in one set. So I just wanted to share that with you. So don't limit yourself to just one. You can do more than one. So let's grab that. That'll put it back right in the middle of my hoop. So get that gift tag. There we go. So we came up with some really fun new lettering. I don't know if you guys saw, I know it's maybe hard to see there, but my little ho, ho, ho on the gift tag, that is a new lettering font. When you're choosing a font to go on something this small, you want to make sure that the font size is appropriate. And you can see this Coquette font is a size 6 millimeters. So it's little bitty letters. And we're just going to type in and go into lowercase. And I'm going to find sometimes we put like the question mark and the exclamation mark in a different place. So we put that in our extended letter set. So once that's there, I have my little letters right here. And I'm just going to scoot this over just a little bit. But I don't just want one little set of letters. What I want to do is I want to put 1, 2, and 3. So all I did was I copied. See how I can delete or I can copy more. So once I have those set, I'm going to move this over just ever so slightly and come up here. And I can, if I choose, so I can change my way of adding this just by using the little arrows too. So depending upon how precise you want to be, you can use your arrows or you can just simply drag on screen. So there we go. So now I've got my letters right on screen, right in my little gift tag, but it's just missing something. So I happen to remember in our crafting stitches and in our heirloom crafting stitches, there is a little star. And this is actually a stitch, not an embroidery. So it's really cool that we can actually put stitches in embroidery as well as using the embroidery. So there's one little star. Let's go ahead. Get back in that crafting menu again. I'm going to swipe up because there's a little bow. And I think this bow is just really super sweet too. Now the bow itself, if I move it down, you can see it's kind of in an odd orientation. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate that by 90 degrees. Let's put it right back up on our little gift tag. And up and over. And everybody, look at that. Isn't that just the sweetest little gift tag? I just think it's so cute. So are you ready to stitch it out? Let's go ahead and go over to our embroidery area and let's go ahead and stitch this out. So now that we have our great little gift tag all ready to go, I just want to remind you, it was super easy. If you remember, we went ahead and just hooped water-soluble stabilizer in our hoop, and I've got just a little piece of felt. So those are really the only two things you need. I did use, just like we did with the gift card holder, I did go ahead and use the same color of thread in and the same color and type of thread in the top as I did in the bobbin. So I've got the green thread ready to go. Once I'm done with that, and I love to just set my hoop over here, and I'm going to press stitch out. And when I press stitch out, it just asks me a couple questions. I'm going to say apply, and then I feel like this is almost magic when that embroidery unit just goes right into place. Let's go ahead and snap on our hoop. So that's very simple. And the first row of stitching, or the first bit of embroidery, is actually going to be a placement line. So when I press start stop, this is where we're going to get ready and place our little piece of felt. Again, if you don't want to use felt, you can certainly use regular fabric. But again, I think it's important that you go ahead and use like 2 pieces of fabric that you sandwich together, maybe use some web in there, some iron-on web that'll fuse it together. So you want something a little bit more stable than just one single piece of fabric. So here's my placement line. So I'm just going to slide that fabric or that felt right in there. So it's right over the placement line. So if you can see that. So right over the placement line like that. And let's stitch again. I have not made a lot of these yet. However, I know that when I go home, my whole neighborhood actually does a little thing during Christmas time. And so it's going to be a cookie exchange with wonderful felted gift tags on it. I think that's going to be my little goal when I get home. So let's go ahead and go to trim position and use those, again, those scissors that have got that bent edge to it. And we're just going to trim up close and try not to. Now this is a little bit trickier in here. If you need to take your hoop off, you certainly can. I don't think I'm going to need to though. Just going to come in close, get close. If you, for this, because we're coming back with a satin stitch afterwards, if you do, I think I nipped my stitching just a little bit. And I'm going to see if I can get in here with a little different pair of scissors. You know, I know you all have different tools at home. So this is my secondary tool there, is that extra pair of scissors there. So once I have that trimmed, let's go ahead, go back to current stitch position and start sewing again. So again, this is the beauty of In the Hoop projects, is then go ahead and make that little line of stitching, brings it back down. There's a little bit of zigzag over the edges. So this one, again, super fast and easy. So it's super easy to work with. And that little satin stitch around the edge, if you need to go back and trim a little bit, you can. After you get done with that first satin stitch, the one that's not so close together. I found with the felt though, everyone, you didn't really have to do that. What you could certainly do is when you got done with the satin stitch, so now it's doing that heavier satin stitch. When you got done with that part, I just went and trimmed a little bit closer. So the felt is very forgiving. If you're a first-time embroiderer, or if you're doing this with your kids, if you're using felt, again, super easy. You can trim up close after the fact, so you don't have to worry about getting so super close. So let's go ahead. We're going to watch this finish out. And then when we get finished out, we're going to change colors as we go through for the lettering. All right, so now we're actually going to do, I was gonna change out colors, but I think I'm gonna wait. And the reason why I'm gonna wait is I want my eyelet to be the same color as my satin stitching. So that is the green. As we saw with our little gift card holder, the eyelet doesn't take but just a moment because we do that little straight stitch, then come back and do the satin stitch. So the eyelet goes really super fast. And if you do have an eyelet cutter, they're great for things like this. It allows you to cut the hole. I didn't even use an eyelet cutter. The felt just kind of gave way and I was able to put the ribbon through real easy. So I didn't have to worry about using a cutter or even getting in there with little bitty scissors. It just kind of pushes itself through. So now eyelet's done. So we're ready to go with that. I do want to change to white thread. So I am going to, again, use top and bobbin the same color. So I'm going to trim that bobbin thread right there. And I'm going to go ahead and put in a white bobbin. So white bobbin there. And we're going to put a white thread on top. The fun part of all of doing things like this, especially if you're working with kids and neighbors and different people that maybe aren't sewish yet, what they can do is they can learn and have fun with the embroidery. I have to smile because last Christmas I was making little stockings in the hoop stockings and putting people's names on them. And I had some people working with me that were not sewists, and oh my gosh, they had so much fun. So this is a great way to show people, new people, that maybe you never thought would have sewn, just how your beautiful machine works. And then, you know, they can go, oh, I want to do that too. So it's really pretty fun. Let's go ahead and put that hoop back on. So I'm just going to snap my hoop on again, and we went ahead. I've got that threaded. I want to make sure that I can see that top thread, and then press start stop again. And we're going to start with the lettering. So again, this really cute lettering as you're going along. And I am going to stop one thing here, guys, as we're going through. There is something that is, sometimes machines cut after every letter, right? They cut after every letter. Sometimes it makes a little ball in the back. Sometimes it leaves a string, all sorts of things. With cutting after small letters, there is a way to turn that off on some machines. There is on our HUSQVARNA Viking. And so I'm going to do that because not only does it take time to actually cut that, what also happens again is sometimes it can look really messy on the back. So by just turning that off, I won't have to worry about that looking so messy on the back. And I just continue on. I didn't have to like restart the machine. I didn't have to do anything like that. So what's going to happen now is, let's go ahead and, one last thing I forgot to tell you. We're going to actually merge these colors. And the reason why I'm going to merge them is every time my machine goes from letter to letter to letter, it's going to stop and tell me change the colors. So that's really fun if you want, like, let's say you want a green and then a white and then a blue and then a yellow. But in this case, we want everything to be the same color. So now we'll get started again. Oh, wow, look at that, how fast and easy that was. Isn't that great? Let's go ahead and take our embroidery hoop off. And you can see there's our little gift tag right there. So fast, so easy. And again, you can make several in one hooping. And so just like we did with our gift card holder, just take your stabilizer out, trim it up, and you're good to go. That's that fast and easy. So everyone, I hope you had a lot of fun with making these in the project hoops. Or in the hoop projects. Wow, gosh. But that's really fun, really easy, and great gifts, great little things to add just to, like I said, some cookies, if you're taking them to a cookie exchange, or just to your favorite niece or nephew's little gift that you're going to make them. So enjoy. Hope you have happy holidays and have fun with all of our projects that we've done with Classic Sewing.
Soni, our Classic Sewing audience, thanks you so much for showing us the quick and easy steps for these wonderful projects. You are fabulous as always. We absolutely loved seeing some of the great things the Designer Epic 3 can do. It is amazing.
It really is, Kathy. And it does so much more.
We hope that you enjoyed the sew along and will make lots of these quick projects.
And happy sewing!
And Merry Christmas!